Quickly moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very interesting panel discussion right now. This one is about the power of branded content in storytelling. I'll repeat the topic for you all once again. This one is about the power of branded content in storytelling. This session, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be moderated by Ketan K. Bharati, brand and marketing consultant. Give it up for Mr. Ketan as he joins us over here on stage. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And he'll be joined on stage by the likes of Yatnesh, Pandey, VP Marketing, Greenply Industries Limited. Can we please clap loudly and appreciate the presence of Mr. Yatnesh over here? We also have with us today Mr. Vivek, Mohan, Sharma, Head Branded Content and MTV Properties Revenue Vicom 18 as well. Give it up for Mr. Vivek, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We also have with us Mr. Gurpreet Singh, co-founder, One Digital Entertainment. Give it up for Gurpreet, sir, please. Thank you so much. Leading the way when it comes to digital entertainment, always and always. We also have with us Prachi Narayan, Senior Vice President, Content, Havas Play with us over here as well. Give it up for Prachi ji as well, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And ऑनेस्ट चीज़ बताऊं, जब से मुझे किसी ने वहाँ पे तारीफ किया ऋतिक रोशन वाला वॉइस, थोड़ा ज़्यादा बेस बढ़ा रहा हूँ आवाज़ का. कैन यू ऑल फील दैट? कैन यू ऑल फील दैट? थैंक यू सो मच. ऑन दैट नोट, आई लीव इट ऑन टू यू. थैंक यू सो मच. लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड.
Hello. Yes, thank you so much. Thanks India Web Fest. Thank you Siddharth. Thank you everyone for joining after the lunch. I hope after the lunch you guys also should have coffee because we are just kicking right after the lunch. So I hope we make the session much more productive. I think fundamentally from a brand perspective, what do we all really look forward for is how sort of you make the consumer much more engaged, and at the same point of time how sort of it fulfills our business KPIs as well. And that is where one of the big pillars stand is branded content. They say that, where a normal advertising can't, the branded content can, and that's how it's exploding. And, we all wanted to sort of discuss this. And pleasure to be part of this panel. It's a very exciting panel. Welcome guys. Welcome Yatnesh, Prachi, Gurpreet and Vivek. I'm happy to have this discussion here. So, throughout this journey, we would want to focus on basically 3 I's. One is that we would want us to imagine what a branded content can do. Second, I think we all want to be inquisitive about what it can sort of deliver for us. And third, what are the sort of possibilities, what we can all sort of explore in terms of branded content. So I think I wanted to start, at a very macro level, just to sort of understand this entire OTT sort of landscape from a branded content perspective. And I would want possibly Vivek to sort of just throw light, on what the landscape is really from a branded content perspective.
Thanks Ketan, thanks Siddharth for having us here. Tough session. Post lunch is usually the most difficult session, like Ketan said. So hum thoda jaldi khatam karenge before the need kind of kicks out. But I think I don't need to sit in India Web Fest and talk about the journey of OTT as a platform. I think that's been something that OTT has usually become like the narrative in all of our lives. It's an essential part of our content consumption. And I think it also provides a great opportunity for brands to kind of leverage it. Because, more often than not, I go to a lot of forums and people say कि branded content को broadcasters normal content की तरह treat क्यों नहीं करते हैं? Why is it that they don't get prime time, and why is it that they, for example, don't get the placement, let's say a marquee property like a Roadies and Big Boss get? And I've often said that in television linear, the challenge is that it's one screen at one channel at one point of time talking to mass audience. So when you do branded content, more often than not, the cohorts are actually very small and niche. So it becomes very difficult to therefore put it at a time where I can address a much masser audience, right? That's actually limitation of linear when it comes to long format content, particularly targeting a smaller cohort, where OTT kind of scores. OTT actually, that's the big amount of strength, right? Because it's pull-based medium. Tomorrow, I can technically create a content piece which is aimed towards pregnant women in the country, and I can't put it on a mass television, but I can still put it on OTT because the cohort that I'm talking to may be a little small, but they can still go and seek that content pulled out, right? And it can still get all the visibility that it requires through on the OTT landscape, right? So from that point of view, I think OTT plays a very important part, because that's where large, meaningful content, even if let's say it's talking to a cohort which may not be as mass to which let's say a colors kind of addressed to, you can still put it there on the platform and still make sure that it gets a due amount of eyeball, not only in terms of content consumption, but also I think in terms of visibility. So I think from that point of view, OTT is very important. And today when we start, stitching things, and I'm sure Prachi, Yatnesh, and Gurpreet will kind of add to it, there's a lot of brands who come and say, listen, I want to talk to an OTT because I'm talking to a cohort which may not be mainstream GC, but it's still massy enough that you can address it using a Jio Cinema as a platform and make sure that it reaches people. So from that point of view, I think it takes away a major limitation of linear television, and for that why I think the platform is very good.
Yeah, so I like the way where you said cohort, and I think somewhere down the line going ahead, it's all about segmentation and sort of targeting those niche consumers, okay, who are sort of loyal to your brand. And that brings me to the next question, where specifically from a marketing perspective, Yatnesh, what kind of possible innovation, integration can a brand like Greenply, which is possibly has a very different cohort characteristics, can use branded content? I know that the campaign which you did, India Ki Shaan, if I'm not wrong, right?
Hindustan Ki Shaan.
Hindustan Ki Shaan, right? That was so specific to a cohort, I think the audience would love to understand that what was the approach and how did you sort of execute it, and what was the impact on the business as well?
Okay, so first, I think if I have to give the category context, like unlike the other categories where you talk about the durables categories or you talk about the FMCG categories, there you have to go for more and more reach and awareness, and then you try to get the conversion. But the category is so tough like us, where you have to go for more consideration. Every month there are around 2.5 lakh people go and then buy the cars in India. Similar kind of the numbers happen for the home interior also. In terms of the ticket size, more or less similar kind of the ticket size. But the category is very, very low involvement category. If I have to buy new car or not, but still I keep giving the attention for those commercial. But for this category, people don't give the attention. So what we have to do, we have to reach to the right TG, right audience is very, very important. And for that, I think the branded content is the one vehicle where you can create a differentiation, you can bring some kind of the credibility, you can bring some kind of the uniqueness, refreshness, and then try to deliver it. Hindustan Ki Shaan, which you had quoted just now, is the one experiment, and it's a very successful experiment we did it. In our category, home interiors, you all guys must have experienced, there is a set of applicator and we call them the influencer. And these guys, they execute the job. They are not the end consumer, but they are the intermediaries who execute the job. And it's very important for the brand like us to influence them, convince them, make them consider our brand. Everyone do those loyalty program, apps, meeting, everything. We all test-tried it. And the millions of dollars got invested for this thing. But so far, consideration remained the same. Then we experimented this branded content piece with the Network 18 group and then the Z group. This started with the YouTube as a channel and then it's moved to the different. Here we try to create some kind of the pride recognition for them. And it has worked so well in the brand's favor. Now we are just into the season 2 and it has moved toward the IP thing. So sometime branded content, when you are not able to do the messaging very sharp targeting, or you are not able to bring the consideration in the cluttered environment, branded content can do the job for that.
Yeah, so it's so good to see, and I'm telling this to the audience, that it's not just about the top funnel, which is X million number of reach or the number of people I reached. I think it's also about digging deeper into the funnel, which is consideration. And Yatnesh so well put in that it's also important to carry forward the branded content year on year so that you move the needle of consideration as well, because it's very difficult to move the needle of consideration.
I think as a marketer, you rightly said, it's not the just nudge. As a marketer, we all are tasked not only just to look for the reach, clicks, views and all. ultimately at the end of the funnel, what is the decision making is happening? What is the behavioral change is happening at the end of the funnel? Because from there we are going to get the revenue, and from there we are going to get the ROI, and then we are able to come back to that platform, that medium of the communication.
Yeah. So I would like to bring Prachi here, because we were talking about brands, right? How brands are sort of leveraging branded content and what is the kind of funnel you're looking through the entire consumer journey. I would want to understand that, what kind of storytelling trends should actually be brands aware of, where they see a very natural fit. And, we talk about AR, VR, right? According to you, how these technologies are possibly now integrating with brands and then branded content? Because I'm sure in your day-to-day work, I'm sure you must be getting a lot of sort of discussions from a brand saying that this is what the brand brief is. And at the end of the day, I need business, right? It's not just about the top funnel, right? Like Yatnesh said. So would like to hear it from you as well on this.
Right. Ketan, see, with the digital and social space, the way it's exploded, currently with so much tech coming in, formats are evolving constantly. So I think formats also and storytelling trends also are evolving day on day. Something that's coming to my mind, of course, you started with AR and VR. Let me start with that. Yes, we are creating virtual worlds, or we are creating, adding digital information on the real world. That is a big space. I think that's something that brands should definitely look at. Gaming is, of course, one space that's developing in a big way. Something as simple as an AR filter is working wonders for brands, to sort of communicate what they want to. For me personally, I think I'm looking at the Apple Vision Pro very, very closely. I think it's a space that's going to be a game changer for mixed reality. And yeah, we'll see a lot of branded content integrations there as well. Secondly, I think interactive storytelling is something that's we're going to see a lot of it in different ways in the coming future. This is where you give your consumer a chance to actually participate in the narrative. And can be done in different ways. You can use it through interactive videos, you can gamify content, you can provide immersive experiences as well. Monica was here in the morning in the first session. Netflix did this with Ranveer Singh's The Bear Grylls show, where they had different endings, So the audience actually got a chance to see at the end of what, different endings depending upon what they wanted to see. We at Havas Play also did something, in fact, with MTV and Woot, which was when the Hyundai venue was launching. Something very simple where we were launching a web series, which was a travel web series with multiple well-known influencers, very strong Instagram following. You usually end up doing what? You take them out in the car and you put out a show, and then you're expecting engagement happening on the show. The unique format that we actually used was the interactive space, where we leveraged their Instagram following right from the shooting time. So these guys who had massive social media following started IG polls while they were shooting. So even before the content went live, the engagement had already started. So I think, these spaces are very big. UGC is a big space as well, where we can get our consumers to actually create content. It helps you in diversification of content, builds a sense of community, and of course adds authenticity to it. And lastly, I think short format video content is a big space. All of us are working on that in a big way. Just simply put, attention span is reducing. We've seen short format developing from 5 minutes to 2 minutes to 1 minute now, and to reels and even 3-second videos. So I think that I'm expecting a lot of evolution in that space also. We'll see new things coming up there.
Yeah. So, we spoke about cohort, we spoke about brand KPIs, we spoke about the format. I think one important aspect is language, right? I mean, we all talk about tier 2, tier 3 towns, we all talk about Bharat, but how the explosion of regional content is happening, I think is something which we all should be aware of. And, Gurpreet, I would want you to throw some light, from a regional perspective, regional content perspective, that A, what are the challenges, B, brands, how they are leveraging, and 3, what do you see the future of regional content?
I think everyone here between us have been have consumed at some part a lot of regional content, even if we don't understand that language, in form of a dubbed language, be it international content, and now over the last few years on the OTT platforms, and especially because of a lot of effort done by the independent content creators in the regional spaces. I mean, examples being there's a Diljit selling sold out stadium shows in overseas market. There is Viraj Gilani, who is using his online fan following to do sold out comedy shows in Gujarati. We run a merchandise platform called Merch Garage, and one of our biggest clients there is Bharati, which is a Marathi content creator. And these are the people, and I'm not just talking about likes and comments, I'm talking about people who are paying to buy merchandise, people who are paying to buy tickets to go for those stand-up shows. So I think that trade has always historically followed what the content creators or independent producers and the fans have been able to build. Till probably a few years back, we used to get briefs from brand looking for a pan-India Hindi-speaking brand ambassadors. And then obviously we have done interactions looking for people in the Bollywood space or probably a face from the South industry. But I think over the last 12 months, we have got a lot of briefs from the brands where they are looking for language-specific brand ambassadors in different markets. And I think a big reason for that is a lot of the incredible work done by the independent content creators. Because like I said, if they are being able to get people to step out of their home and buy tickets, imagine the impact they'll be able to do over the consumers to influence them towards your brand.
Yeah. So I wanted to also ask you and Vivek here as well that, what are the certain guardrails when a brand really wants to integrate in a content? Because, if you ask Yatnesh, he'll be like, yaar, sab green kar do, Greenply, But I'm sure there are challenges from your side as well. So how do you define certain boundaries where you have the right balance? And I think I would want Yatnesh also to come in this question, because as a marketer, I'm sure he knows the brand really well. And I think there is a certain things you don't want to overtly do it. So I would like the audience to know that, is there a certain guardrails which you follow, and what are those?
So this is like the question I think we live by day in and day out, saying कि मतलब, it's in our business we particularly cater to two clients. There's a viewer for which I'm making the content, and there's a brand who's funding the content, right? And it's about getting the balance right. And more often than not, I think that's the success of branded content. If you can make sure that the brand objectives are met without taking away the essence of the content, that it's still content and not an advertising or an advertorial, is what, it's what the essence of true branded content is. So it's a challenge, and I will not, I have been on the brand side at some point of my career, and the logo is the most important things in our lives.
Logo bada kar do.
Correct. So it's a joke in every economy saying logo bada kar do. Ya mera brand
बाकी कुछ नहीं, बस ये तो बोलना ही है, logo बड़ा कर दो.
So the biggest challenge, the conversation I keep on having with the agencies and the brands is also saying that, what is your purpose? If the idea is salience, then branded content is not the way, because content is not for salience. For that you have GRP, CPMs and ROIs.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Content it's to get impact. It's to change a consumer's behavior, right? It's a journey. Let's say if salience is on one side and activation is on the other, content is somewhere in the middle, right? So the idea is that it has to serve that purpose. So at some point of time, if the client if the user know that it's an advertorial, they're going to switch off, right? So it's about getting that balance right. And I'll tell you, I have seen this journey for about last 10 years, and brands are maturing. Like if you look at Coke Studio, which is one of the biggest example in branded content, Coke is only branding, right? Like the Coke will never come and say, botle haath mein pakda do. Usually, right? So because it's about, they have to understand, the brand understand the fact that it's actually music being consumed, right? And Coke is a catalyst of bringing, so brand is getting subliminally activated, right? So it's about getting that right balance. The other part, Ketan, which I always feel is that if somehow the brand, and this is what we strive to do at Viacom 18, is that if somehow the brand can become part of the narrative, right? Then it's the easiest thing to do, right? And that's how we try to stitch any bit of content. Like if you look at, they say you should not appreciate competition, but I think TVF does fabulous works in terms of fiction when it comes to content, because in an aspirant or a quota factory, Unacademy is not, it's a part of the narrative. right? In a tripling, a Tiago is part of the narrative. You don't have to force the car in a story which is about three brothers taking a road trip, right? So that's what we also try to stitch. The whole idea is saying if the brand is part of the narrative, then somehow it manages both the objective. For a viewer, it's not an eyesore, and for the brand, the objectives get met. But this is a tussle and challenge that we live with every day, that we deal with the brands. How do you make sure that the objectives are met, and for viewer, we still don't have it cut now. Yeah, I think this is like the biggest JD that anybody in branded content, and Prachi will agree, that we have in our KRAs.
Prachi always has to play the
That's
mediator.
a total challenge. Yeah, but that's what makes it fun, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
You
It's
know,
fun. It's fun to play, right? At Havas Play. Yes, Gurpreet.
I co-founded One Digital Entertainment 12 years back, and we obviously, like I said, started working initially with scouting, grooming, and building digital content creators. And the bigger game was to build them and then to work with the brands to monetize that. It's the same conversation I think we have on all panels over the 12 years, and I can ensure while things are better, but it's a incredibly difficult conversation with most of the brands till date. A lot of people are aligned, but when they go closer to the campaign dates, then in the end, the discussion still becomes about my CTA, my logo, and not about the storytelling. Of course, there are brands every now and then who do incredible stuff by working in a very collaborative nature, but I'll still like to say it's still a massive challenge out here. Like Vivek said, people like TVF or like I keep championing creator economy, and some of the content creators have been able to do some incredible work on that. We just did a campaign with a brand called Leverage Edu with one of our content creators, Prajakta Kohli, and we were lucky enough to get her on the call, and where she convinced them to completely change their brief, and she wrote a story more like a TVC, but on a format of a reel, which worked incredibly well on the social platforms. But that was one off brand giving her the liberty to do what she wants to do. And that content worked so well that people are now chasing the brand that where's the part 2, because they are very interested in the story and where it's heading now. And the brand got what they wanted to get.
Yeah. So, Yatnesh, I want to bring here that how often does your team says logo bada kar do? No, okay, on a serious note, what I wanted to understand, and this is again taking from Vivek, is that, if brands and the branded content together are starting right from the narrative, where you're thinking that, what campaign you need to sort of conceptualize, I think that is where the successful synergy or the amalgamation happens, rather than sort of just slapping on, that I have a property or I have a content, can you be the sponsor? And I'm sure, again, basis Greenply as a fantastic example, how do you sort of see that? I know that you're doing season 2. How do you sort of possibly go ahead with such kind of synergies?
So one thing I have to confess, sometimes we get a very brand obsessed, and if you are a marketer and if you get a good experience, then maybe you will try to understand this thing, but the management, business, all those pressure, they say logo chota dikh raha hai, and all this thing. So that's we have to do. But as a marketer, what is my end result I want to leave it? I want to leave the memory into the audience mind through my communication, content. Again, I want to quote one example. In my stint with one of the paint brand, we were the challenger brand. Asian was the leader brand. And in the Kerala market, they have the very, very huge brand recall. And they were playing into the 60% plus SOV. Now in that market, whatever communication I'm going to do, this going to be the misattributed, or I'm not able to break that brand recall thing. What we did it the one content piece, one communication, which was the based on to the local regional insight onto the jewelry shop. So far, we never made the communication of the paint commercial into the jewelry shop, and it was a very, very subtle branding. That communication, that content piece worked much, much better than what the SOV, what the planning, what the logo branding we are doing it. So you have to leave the memory into the audience mind, write content with the based on to the certain insight, ground true insights, that context, it will make the consumer behavior follows on this thing.
Yeah. So I think what Yatnesh you are giving examples is quite, I think, relevant and well synergized. What I also wanted to understand from all of you was that how possibly we can draw innovation, and we always look forward to do something new, right, in irrespective of whichever field we are. So what is the kind of innovation possibly we can look, A, from a marketing perspective, B, from a partner perspective, 3, from a content creator perspective, 4, from what are the new kinds of sort of technology can sort of we adapt or brands can adapt, and this is for everyone, because I'm sure the audience would want to hear that what's in for future and what kind of innovation we really want to sort of look from a branded content perspective. So yeah, anyone? Havas, play first.
Okay, then. I think in general, we just need to, and I'm going to use the cliche of think out of the box. I think that's been overused. But ultimately, that's what it is. We really need to think fresh. Usually, everything that we think of comes from some context, comes from some reference. I think that's where we get stuck. We need to look at our roles in terms of partners that you mentioned, in terms of technology that we use, in terms of the way we are using media, the way we are using our creatives, just differently. I think disruption generally works. I think that's one space we can look at in different ways. Technology is going to be a big space in innovation. Anything in this space where we can catch the audience's eye, where we can engage them meaningfully, can be a space of innovation. Something that I want to mention here, a brand like Hyundai, and we work with them very, very closely. Think of them working on a cause-led campaign, which is their largest cause-led initiative ever in India, actually working on disability. Now, how do you relate that to a brand like Hyundai? It's simply put, there's a lot of thought that's gone behind it. They're an automobile company. They want to democratize mobility. It's as simple as that. There's no brand. There's really, truly meaning to it. And that's what's then going to build that meaning, that connection with, their consumer in a long term. So I think that's one space that we all as content marketers, as brands, as marketers need to start looking at.
Yeah. Yes. Vivek?
I think to add to what Prachi was saying, for me, one of the biggest innovation and the multiple ways that it can be done is actually interactivity in content. Right? And technology, of course, a huge facilitator at that, because I think the biggest purpose of content is actually impact, right? It's about engagement. So if there's a way that you can turn it from one way to two ways, then you get that much more attention span from a viewer. And today, technology is making us, possibly do it. I'll give you a few examples of how we've done it. We work with an Elko web brand regularly. We've been creating small, snacky content from them festive after festive. And we've taken the journey with them for the last 3 years, where moving away from brand films, in last 3 years, we've reached a point where last time we did AI-led, avatar-led videos for them. And last year, New Year's, we did personalized deepfake enabled wishes that you can send to people, right? So it's a journey that the brand has taken, and you'll be surprised, we had like 100,000 people plus who actually went to the microsite and created those images. So it's about that interactivity. Today, we also on JioCinema working on this concept called as two screens, right? It's actually, you've seen that when you're watching on television, you're also doing something on your phone. So we're trying to build, is there a synergy that we can do an interactivity between the two screens? Even within the small screen, if today you're watching content, our platform today gives an enablement that if there is a particular dress which has been worn in the content, I can actually make you browse through the same dress and buy within the content, it's within the platform itself. So this kind of interactivity, if I can build, right? Really, if today, hypothetically, there's something that we're doing for a Hyundai new car launch and it's a car content, and within the app itself, if it lets you, for example, show your interest for a test drive, then we move from content to content commerce, right? And it's about building that engagement. So for me, content has always been about engagement and the impact, and I think interactivity, as much as we can build it at the back of technology, of course, will take it to the next level.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Gurpreet.
No, I think taking up from where Vivek said, right, from a tech point of view, from an interactive point of view, I mean, we strongly believe we've invested last 2-3 years into Web3 ecosystem. We just last week announced our own layer 1 blockchain, Taurus. And I'm just, from a understanding of a Web3 point of view, the brands today have incredible opportunity to work with consumers directly and build very strongly held loyalty clubs, right? Not in a very physical manner, but in a ownership of a digital NFTs ecosystem. I understand, and with every technology evolution, there are good case studies and there are bad case studies, and sometimes there are a lot of bad case studies, and overall the industry gets a lot of flag. But you will see a lot of correction in this entire ecosystem, and there are some incredible projects being done by brands globally, not just in India, where they are leveraging on blockchain, where they're leveraging on tokenization, where they are leveraging on building utility-based services with NFTs, and building very strong communities and owning the fans, not just for one campaign, but you spend money and you reach out to that consumer, and then you have to spend money again after 3 months to reach out to the same consumer again. But there's an opportunity here where you can make them as a part of your ecosystem and give them services throughout the year via multiple engagements. And I think I strongly feel that the next 12 to 18 months, you will see some great innovation in the content into Web 2 to Web 3 hybrid branded content ecosystem.
Yes.
I think they had covered the most of the point, but I can give it for the brand marketer side. What's the innovation? For us, is the innovation is equal to the differentiation, and once you do any kind of the innovation, it's whether it's in terms of the creating the communication, whether in terms of the delivering that communication, or whether in terms of the engaging through that communication. So all this innovation will bring some kind of the differentiation to your brand, and that ultimately bring it more and more customer attention to this. Beside this, I think the innovation in the certain categories, like the current category which I am heading, is a very tough category, where is a low involvement category. In this kind of the categories also give a lot of attention to the audience, and certain brands which has a low SOV, if they work on to the innovation, they can compete with the market leader with their innovation. So these are the advantage we as a marketer try to take it.
Yeah. So the gospel truth always comes from the client, right? Okay, thank you so much. I think this has been a really interesting chat. The last 2 minutes I had actually kept for rapid fire. Sorry, not rapid fire, questions. Yes, please. So we are happy to take questions. In case you want to have a discussion separately, I think we all are open for this as well. I think we are all here to sort of be inquisitive, start and seeking more information. Yes, please. No questions? Coffee shots? No coffee shots as well. Okay, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone. It has been an insightful session.
Thank you so much. Give them a bigger round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I'll request Mr. Franklin Toscano, CTO and co-founder IWMBuzz Media, to kindly join us over here on stage and give the token of appreciations to all our guests over here. Thank you so much. Give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And बहुत सारे चीज़ों में टैक्सेस ज़रूर लगता है, लेकिन ताली बजाने में लोगों के लिए अप्रिशिएट करने के लिए टैक्सेस नहीं लगता. So on that note, you can please clap and appreciate. Thank you. I guess my one-liners are killing it today, right? अपना तारीफ खुद ही कर रहा हूँ मैं on that note. कोई और आप लोग कर नहीं रहे हो तो मैं खुद ही अपना तारीफ कर रहा हूँ. But then thank you so much, just having fun. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us. Thank you so much. Pleasure. Thank you.